It's me. Hello and welcome and welcome and hello and hello and welcome. It is, of course, another exciting edge of your seat, hold your breath edition of Poco Moss, the show where we give you just a little bit more. And of course, speaking of a little bit more, let's talk SMCI. This thing, everything you see in the press on this one, guys, is just doom and gloom. It's going to fall off a cliff. Everybody's saying, going through 20, back to 12, I'll buy at 8, all the turds in the chat rooms like to rub your nose in it when things aren't going the way you hope. But honestly, today I think was a really good day. Neo, I think, did quite well, though the shorts and the algo was hammering that stock. I thought SMCI did exceptionally well. There's just the FUD storm coming off of Lake Bloomberg is just a blizzard conditions. It's like nothing I've even seen on the Great Lakes, guys. So, quick question: is that my hairline? It's frightening. Like this, I don't even want to go into it, guys. I don't even want to go into it. It's a situation. Okay, it's a touchy subject. Okay. Anyway, guys, I got to keep this one a little bit more quiet because I am living in polite society. So let's go ahead and share me screen so we don't have to see my giant receding hairline. Quite so close. What a huge. They say I have the shiniest head on YouTube. There's no reward for that, but that in a quarter would get you a cup of coffee in about 1952. So, guys, let's talk SMCI. Thanks for joining me again. It's Poco Moss. This has just been an absolute Gruden grinder. Just want to show you the chart. First of all, in terms of today, there wasn't a lot of shorting or a lot of shares returned. Stock sitting after hours right back at $32. It loves that level. They returned about 1 million shares, but expect that to evaporate because they returned 1.5 million yesterday, and then after hours, borrowed another 2 million. Cost to borrow average continues to creep up. The average was about 1.34 today, where yesterday it was 1. Then it kind of, oddly enough, as they borrow more shares, the cost to borrow just kind of falls off a cliff. So these things are somewhat coordinated, but just, I don't know if you believe in charts. It's like the Tooth Fairy or the Easter Bunny. Either you believe in them or you don't. But if you look at the way this thing came up, guys, came up, of course, from 17, basically paused briefly at 26, 29, and then 32. And if you notice something interesting, a lot of times on a pump and dump, stocks will, sort of go up and then come down, descend and ascend the slope in a very similar fashion. Well, you notice this stock on the way up, it kind of paused here at 37 and then 35. This was for 3 days. Okay. And then you see, the huge pump up into the 40s, stays up into the 40s for 6 days, starts to fall off, and then comes down, and you see it right at this level, same level here for, 3 days, 4 days. And then something interesting happens. The stock really starts to stabilize for 5 days between, 35 and 31. And over here on this side, you don't really have anything equivalent on the chart. By that point, it had basically fallen off the cliff. There's, you had that 45-degree slopes. Of course, the algo was stepping it down. It was controlling the dailies. It just wasn't controlling exactly how far the stock was gapping up or down. That was kind of based on how much, crystal methamphetamine retail investors could get their hamster brains on at any given time. Working the job down at the Walmart. But no, I'm not implying everyone who works retail is on crystal meth, but, probably 90% of people. Have you guys been out and dealt with some of these people? Anyway, no, guys, everybody's great. I love everybody. But welcome and hello and welcome, guys. What I just see is the breakdown you see in the media is not actually happening. And then look at this level. It tested again, like right at the end of the day, they just started selling it off to 31. Tested that again, 12.19, again here. Again, right here, 12.13, tested 31, tested 31, 11.29, hit that level here. So basically, since November 22nd, really there have been no sellers of this stock whatsoever under 31. Now, if you listen to the media, everybody's dumping at 12. But the way they're grinding this thing, these dailies, these daily charts, look at them. They're exactly the same. Huge pump in the morning, grinding at about a 3-4 degree down bubble all day, and then some shenanigans right at the end of the day. I think some of these daily charts, there actually is like a middle finger pattern, if you look carefully, that the shorts are giving me personally. I feel that's directed at me personally. But again, I'm not seeing a breakdown here. The volume is solid. It just doesn't, it looks like there's a limit to where they can churn and short. I mean, it looks to me like market makers are very, very comfortable buying the stock, between 31, 33, maybe 35. We'll just have to see. But everybody's predicting, doom and gloom, but really the enemy of this stock is uncertainty. We don't know what it is. We don't know how bad it is. All we know is that Ernst & Young quit because they didn't trust management. But why didn't they trust management? Because they have a track record of being shady scumbags who shouldn't be trusted? Perhaps. Or is it, basically they'd only been there, I think, a year and a half. So they'd only gone through, 5-6 quarters. And it could have been a cumulative effect, losing confidence, communication issues. But I mean, bottom line, they just didn't trust management, which is, really bad. But we don't know, hey, is it, catastrophic? Or is it something that if management comes cleans house, can it be fixed? Or does the rot go all the way through the CEO? It almost certainly does, but, we just don't know how bad is it. And that same internal committee that cleared them, and it didn't really clear them of wrongdoing at all. It basically said their financials are okay. It did not say, hey, there's no problems here. It said, we need a new CFO. The CFO cannot be the same person as the chief compliance officer, which, these dual roles are common in smaller companies. The problem, SMCI basically had was they grew from $1 billion company to a $15 billion company, and they did not expand the compliance department, the legal department, all of these lawyers that you need at a company of that size. They just did not have enough. And the ones they had seemed to be unable to stand up to management and make sure all the I's were dotted and T's were crossed. They weren't, breaking a bunch of laws and fudging a bunch of numbers, not turning in financials on time. Basically a lot of bad things going on. But I think market makers can see, they bounced this thing off 31 5-6 times. I mean, I want to just go over the bear case because this is a really good article. It's by Utam Day. I've only seen maybe 1 or 2 other articles by this guy, so I don't know exactly his track record or anything, but I read the article and it's very straightforward. It's very clear. It's full of facts. And, I can't argue with anything this guy says about Supermicro Computer. He's basically saying there's so much uncertainty. How can I put a valuation on it? It's a momentum trade. It's hamsters on crack. It's risk on. He recommended a buy based, on the growth, but I kind of flip this argument on its head and say, he's still looking for close to 70% top line growth. Yes, there's margin deterioration, but there's still EPS growth. And yes, this is a very, competitive space, but there's only a couple of big competitors. And SMCI, I think, is going to come with a better product at a better price. They're more nimble, I think, than Dell and Lenovo and, some of these other mega conglomerates. They're trying to sell you, headphones and a vacuum cleaner and, just everything. This company is very focused. They're very in tune with NVIDIA, the other chip makers. They have huge new excess capacity coming online. And I think the demand is there. Nobody's predicting weak demand for AI data centers. Now, the argument he makes, okay, some of these, super scalers could shy away from Supermicro because of these financial difficulties. But even JP Morgan said that is not yet happening. Now, so much depends on these filings coming in. I wanted to see the filings sooner than later. I want to see a new CFO, high profile guy who can stand, shoulder to shoulder with the CEO, tell him no, tell him how things have to be with the financials, say, hey, you do your job, building these servers, you do your job working with NVIDIA, Intel, AMD, Broadcom, all these chip makers, and I'm going to take care of the books. I'm going to take care of, kicking these lawyers in the head. I'm going to make sure everything is 110% above board and absolutely spotless. Zero compromises on ethics at this company going forward. Get Danny Deals down there at HQ. I will personally smack management around. I'll be in the break room. I'll implement a snack program. I'll implement a coffee program. All of those things you need. I mean, I'll basically be no help whatsoever. I like to draw a large salary. Believe me, I get some compliance. Compliance right here. I got your compliance right here, right here, right here. Gets you here. Gets you here. Oh, God. This show is freaking terrible. I just had an epiphany. This show is god-awful. Anyway, guys, that's neither here nor there. But the point is, let's go over this stupid article. Let me talk to a couple of you freaks. Neo going through El Stinko phase. Yeah, Billy Jack, they've been stuck at those 20,000 deliveries for what, 6, 7, 8 months? I mean, no one likes to see stagnation. I looked at it another way. They had reached a plateau. They were sort of, consolidating at that level. Onvo's looking really good, but you can't have everything. You can't launch an entirely new brand that's sharing production lines with Neo, expect no cannibalization, expect no slowdown. But if they can just kind of normalize very quickly 20,000 Neo, 20,000 Onvo, bring in Firefly, scale that up quickly, it's going to be a gravy train with biscuit wheels, my good friend Billy Jack, the king of Texarkana, they used to call him. Oh, the guy could play some stud poker, I'll tell you that. Anyway, I don't know what I'm talking about. We have Cutes in house. Cutes, welcome. Anything to say, Cutes? No. Cutes is going to sleep through this broadcast, as you probably should have. Anyway, guys, 39 and only. What's up, Alberto? Thanks for moderating this turd. Let's see. Premium the option is here, making it rain on Uncle Bruce. Dude, I've got the best wrenches in the business. I might get an Alberto hat. I already got a Not a Lurker hat. No, you can't have a Not a Lurker hat. I have the only Not a Lurker FinTech wrench hat in existence. Poto, Sofa. Yeah, no, Sofa is looking really good. I am running for El Presidente. I believe I was elected in Uruguay in absentia. They said I was too fat to rule those people, and I have to agree. Yep, 3, 2, 1, let's Poco, my good friend. It's Not a Lurker. He was released from Costco. They took him 24 hours to go ahead and do that receipt check, and then he loaded up his convoy of 10, van-sized drones and flew it back to his hacienda. He's in the refuse business. What do you do, Dad? He's like, I'm in the refuse business. He's like, I love it when Tony Soprano realizes things. He's like, it was Bobby all the time. See, don't you see? He's like, of course we all see, Tony. We all know that. You're stupid. You're in a position of power because you're willing to commit acts of violence. Your own family fears you. It's like, I'm going to go to therapy. I was like, okay, Tony, whatever. I'm going to go have a psychological affair with my priest. Like, what was that all about? What was that priest? He'd come over, watch movies. You guys know the Sopranos. Make himself sandwiches. A bunch of sexual innuendo with the housewives. Guess it's better than the alternatives for sexual outlets for priests. But hey, guys, this isn't the night hour. Let's see. Yeah, nobody's giving us thumbs up, Alberto. A bunch of turds. I'll take thumbs up as long as you don't subscribe. Let's see, guys. Jason Watkins, they said Foucault Big Head. It's the best podcast on the internet. Un poco mas. It's not even a podcast, Billy Jack. I don't even know what a podcast is. I don't even really know how to do YouTube. It just goes on, you do it. Thank you for shrinking your head. It was scaring me. Oh, it's Jimmy Chitwood in the house. Hello and thanks and hello and welcome and welcome and hello. Der Spiegel is here. Hello, yeah. What's going on? Carl Seamark, the mattress king of Greater Illinois. Please, sub, have some. Well, you can have less, man. Turn me off. You're certainly not turning me on, Carl. Turn me off. Tune in. You might like a little channel guy named Stock Mo. I think you're really gonna like what he has for you. Oh, I almost spilled some water on my crotch. Second time in like an hour. This Christmas Dixie cup is hazardous. Anyway, guys, I don't know what I'm talking about. It's SMCI. I'm seeing no breakdown below 30. I'm seeing it bounce off 31, and with the volatility this stock's experiencing, catalysts coming up, I see it going up unless something, really bad happens. If they release the financials, that's good. Whether they're, have to restate something, it sounds like it's going to be relatively minor. So what's the worst case scenario is the auditor comes in, they say, okay, this is why Ernst & Young didn't trust you, because you're shady as fuck. You're completely sketchy. You have a years-long record of sketchy accounting and double dealing and sanctions violations and everything else. You're just a scary old lady running this company. Get your books in order. So anyway, let's go over the bear case because it's a pretty good article. If you guys want to bail out now, I'd highly recommend it. Do something better with your time. But so he goes through his old investment thesis, why he was a buy, technology infrastructure, Gen AI, demarcating several AI infrastructure companies, strong beneficiaries. SMCI was one of those companies that strongly benefited from rising infrastructure investments. We all know all this. So the narrative shifted away from core fundamentals. And this is absolutely true. This guy is much, much smarter than me. If you want to know what's actually happening, I would highly recommend you turn this off immediately and, go outside, get some fresh air, and then read this article on Seeking Alpha. I mean, Seeking Alpha does not give me anything. I pay full price for my subscription, and why would they give me anything? But I really feel like they have the best analysis, the best writers. Of course, Steve Areno, the big sexy, Fred Flintstone, my favorite SoFi guys on there. And if you're going to read all this garbage, coming out of Bloomberg and coming out of Tip Ranks and coming out of Yahoo and all of these sites, I mean, these guys tend to have a lot of data to back up what they're talking about. So you could read one article here and get a complete picture of sort of the bull and bear case, what's going on with the company, the financials, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So basically they delayed the financials. We all know that, the 10K and the Q1 10Q, which is no good 10Q very much. Little financial statement humor for the accountants out there. You know who you are. You don't have to say anything. Sit down. We see you in the back. We see you. Yeah, we know the chicken's dry. Thank you. The Rack Scale Solutions Company originally moved delay. So they were going to delay till later in the year. Then the NASDAQ granted them an extension till February 25th. Now, that does not mean they have to. What they have to do, they have to get these crooked bastards at BDO. No, I'm just kidding. If BDO's attorneys are watching, no, I'm a comedian. No, seriously, BDO has some serious issues with their auditing track record. But I think I've heard they're improving of late. Heard it from a friend. He heard it from a friend who, seen it around. But Supermicro's founder and CEO also published a letter at the time focused on shoring up confidence. Didn't really seem to do that. Was a pump. He said that they had formed a committee to review their internal controls and other matters. And this is kind of a critical quote, neither of these events affects our products, our ability or capacity to deliver innovative IT solutions. So he was talking about the short seller report, of course, Hindenburg decision to delay the 10K. Apart from the letter, it's this is the key. There's no visibility. It's a black box. We have no idea what's wrong, how bad it is, how it's going to affect the numbers, how it's going to affect orders, how it's going to affect customers, how it's going to affect demand, how it's going to affect my appetite. Oh, I need a smash burger. If anybody can furnish me with a smash burger in the next 5 minutes, no, guys, that's what Uber Eats is for. But anyway, I'm not allowed to have burgers right now. It's a diet thing. Let's see. We got some new comments here before we go over more of this dry article. OMG, it's the big P blowing up the comments. Let's see. Enjoy life, homie. Couldn't have said it better myself, Payush. Let's see. New Superman teaser. What's going on in Memphis? Memphis Bleak. Love SMCI. Oh man, it's one of those stocks. You got to love it. You got to hate it. You got to fear it. You got to embrace it. It's one of those stocks. If you're a gambler, and people on the comments, my buddy Stuart, who's I don't know if he's a troll, he's a bear, he's a short, whatever, but he seems like a pretty smart guy. I welcome all views. I don't censor any comments, whether you're bearish or you call me an idiot, you criticize my weight management skills. That's a little harsh, but I leave those comments up. The only thing I don't tolerate is sort of the bad stuff, like racist, that kind of crap. That gets mostly filtered out by YouTube, but if it slips through, I definitely try to delete it, as do my able moderators. But this is not a politically correct channel, but this is certainly not a channel where we're looking to spew any type of hatred or anything like that. So, having said that, let me say some more asinine stuff. But no, we got Payush here. We got Rusty Goldsmith. What's up with the one? Yeah, there was just a tremendous amount of buying pressure in the 31s, Rusty Nails. Let's see. It's a fun ton. Let's see. Premium the option. They already got removed from the NASDAQ 100. Yes, that is the case. But it's really just an issue of market cap. I mean, they're competing against Palantir. They shifted from the New York Stock Exchange to the NASDAQ, and they're in. And I believe it's Broadcom who's in with, I think, a 90 billion market cap or something. SMCI's market cap's down below 20 billion. It's trading at 80% of this year's sales. I mean, come on. So anyway, let's continue with this stupid article. Just had to warmly greet and say a good hello and welcome, a good Memphis style hello and welcome to the great Payush, who's the guy loads SoFi like he's drawing air. It's like, hey, what are you doing today, Payush? It's like, we're going to take over the world and I'm going to load SoFi. So welcome, Payush. Hello and welcome. Of course, Not a Lurker is here. Oh, and a big shout out to Mrs. Lurker, who has to, of course, harness the energies of the great J Money Not a Lurker. Keep the man in line, keep him, alive and well for 48 hours while he navigates the checkout at Costco. Mrs. Lurker, she does not have an easy job, but it is very, very rewarding. There's nothing like taking a walk with Not a Lurker, the dogs. You have to stop and shave the head halfway through the walk, keep them sharp. But there's just sacrifices you make when you're with a great man such as J Money. But anyway, seriously, a huge shout out to Mrs. Lurker. If she's anything like Princess J, she has to put up with a tremendous amount of asinine behavior and euterdium. And any man who's spending a lot of time on U-turd, fin-turd analysis and stocks is pretty unbearable. So, give the man or woman in your life a big thank you for just putting up with you. You're probably completely obnoxious. So I don't know. I'm not speaking from experience, not at all. But anyway, hello and welcome to Payush. Hello and welcome, of course, to the great Mrs. Lurker, the one really holding the glue because we know Not a Lurker holds the show together, of course, with the great Alberto Berdiavales, but it's the people behind them, the Mrs. Lurkers, the motorcycle mechanics, the road crews, the luxury motorhome mechanics, whatever keeps Alberto going, the all-inclusive resort staff in, tropical places, Puerto Rico. I don't know where he was. I can't remember. I think it was British Virgin Islands or something. And you guys make too much money writing options. You guys are just making too much money. Uncle Bruce gave all you guys a money press. You're all writing options. I write some too, but it's like, man, I just like with SMCI, I made a bunch of money buying calls. I lost about 20% of it back. I'm just going with shares because I don't want to, time decay is killing you on these short dated options. It's just a fool's errand. Most of the time you are much better off selling options. There's just math proves that, history proves that. Back trade it. There's just no doubt. There's a reason market makers sell more options and retraders buy more options, because market makers are smart, trade on information. Retraders are dumb, fat. They like to eat cheeseburgers, trade on emotion, trade on whims, wake up, the headache, they trade a certain way. Can't get coffee, they trade a certain way. Like, I need an espresso. Bye. It's just foolish. It's just foolish. It's fat and foolish. It's fattish. It's fooly. Anyway, so yeah, I don't know what to do with this thing. Let's keep going on this article. So it's shifted away from that's the whole focus of the stock. Nobody even's talking about the fact this thing grew over 100% on the top line year on year last year, and it's gonna from 7 to 14.6, and they're even this fine gentleman is expecting 67% growth. So the CEO published a letter. We all know that. CEO extension, 25th. We all know that. So here's a potential negative catalyst. The CFO is good. The financials are good. Dilutive money raise, bad. It's bad. It would be bad. So we only have two pieces of quantitative information. They're preliminary numbers. He's saying you can't trust those numbers at all. Of course, Bloomberg has reported. Bloomberg puts out a different hit piece on this stock 2-3 times a day, it seems. What about the CEO didn't give enough money, or he had a kind of a fake charity, then he ended up purchasing a vineyard or something? Hey, wealthy people use, charities to benefit themselves and their families and skirt taxes. A shocker, jazz hands, shocker. Wait, I think Payush's comment is covering my giant head. The humanity. Anyway, sorry, I should have left it up there. Probably that's why my views were increasing. There's 30 of you instead of 6 since I covered my head up. But hey, what are you guys trying to say? I suspect management is attempting to so they're talking about a pipe. There's basically two ways it can go. They're equity or convertible. Pipes are dilutive to the current shareholders. There's just no way around that. Either way you go. So PE firms, they get cheaper access to the shares, usually in the current share price. But sometimes if these things are negotiated over a period of time, it's not just the lowest possible share price. They'll go over sort of an average, or from a certain date. It just, I've been, my understanding, look at these, I have no idea, is just that it happens different ways. Like it's not always, a certain percentage below a given share price, they can negotiate whatever they're able to negotiate. I think this company should be able to raise money. They don't have a tremendous amount of debt. In fact, they just paid off a ton of debt. So I expect management is attempting to prop up its capital structure with shareholder dilutive message as pipe after the company recently disclosed it prepaid and terminated loan agreements with 2 lending firms. According to its preliminary Q1 FY 2025 release, Supermicro expects to report total cash and cash equivalents of $2.1 billion and total debt of approximately $2.3 billion. So, that to me, for a company growing like this that just paid off a bunch of debt, to have debt on par with cash on hand is actually much more positive than what I was expecting. So I knew this, and it's a little bit different than other numbers I've read, but I knew sort of the basics, sort of the third grade version of things. Even if the company did require more capital after prepaying, terminating its loan agreements, it could have used secondary offerings to issue more shares. Pipes allow express access to capital without the hassle of more SEC approval, and Supermicro likes to stay as far away from the SEC as possible. The SEC does require them to obtain shareholder approval if the company is going to dilute more than 20% of its last known number of 602 million, which I'm almost certain shareholders would probably not approve, at least the retail component, which has grown considerably since the calamity of the last couple of months. I would not be surprised if the company ends up diluting to 20% of the shareholders outstanding, or about 4.4 billion share net proceeds. Or share sales proceeds, excuse me. That would be probably with fees, then a pretty net whatever, a couple points off the top. As the last known report, Supermicro had 4.5 billion liabilities and 9.9 billion assets on the balance sheet. So that's not horrible. I mean, it's not great. It's not horrible. Valuation premiums are difficult to justify. Consensus estimates expect Supermicro to report 25 billion worth of sales, growing 67% for FY 2025 year ending in June. So EPS growth rates are falling faster. So they're criticizing them because they didn't grow at 100%. They're only going to grow at 67%. Well, as a company gets larger, remember they were just $1 billion, $3 billion, $5 billion. Nice. Consensus estimates expect, so I already read that. Listen, as a company scales very, very quickly from 1 billion, 3 billion, 7 billion, 14 billion, 25 billion, you're not going to be able to grow at the same rate. You're not going to be able to double year on year. I mean, maybe NVIDIA, but a company that brings hardware, you're not going to be able to scale, at 100% every single year as you get larger and larger. It just doesn't work that way. I mean, I wish it did, but 67% top line growth, and that's bearish. And yes, EPS growth rates coming down. I mean, they are under margin pressure. There's no doubt about that. There's competition. So anyway, let me continue. Valuation premiums. This is where we get into valuation, which is really kind of the key here. But this isn't really trading on any type of valuation metrics. It's trading on fear, momentum, anticipated catalysts, all these types of, these are momentum event traders, bottom feeders, country club golf hustlers, lesser diamond types, these types of figures. So, so we already heard 25 billion. So consensus estimates project EPS of $2.80, growing 27%. So growing EPS 27% on a 67% increase in sales when this entire industry is under heavy margin pressure. He's trying to make that sound bad. I think it's incredibly good. Show me a company this size, growing 67% with that type of earnings, that type of growth, trading at this multiple. You certainly won't find it in this space. Certainly won't find it anywhere with the letters AI attached to it. We should be trading 3x these levels. At this point, it's difficult for me to have confidence in Supermicro's forward projections because there's quite a bit of unknown that's baked in here. That's true. Plus, per exhibit B below, its margin profile was already falling, and that's true. But again, they're scaling. They're in bigger and bigger projects. When you have bigger single tickets, you're probably going to get less margins on those tickets. There's just no doubt about that, unless you're selling alcohol, like expensive bottles of wine. So with inventory growing faster than revenue, the company could have to mark down the sales price of products it holds, which further impact margins. For the current situation, Supermicro finds itself in its high-profile customers, hyperscalers, might not want to associate themselves with financials. This is exactly what JP Morgan said is not happening. So the company does trade at valuations, 14x gap, 2025 earnings that seem attractive. But as I noted earlier, these are based on 2025 EPS that I do not have any confidence to justify. Look, analysts say their sales and orders are there. So it's pretty hard to fake revenue. I mean, yeah, Enron did it. Other, certain companies just flat out make up their books. But we haven't heard any allegations that's what's happening here. We don't know what's happening here. That's the whole problem. So, it is gambling in a sense. It is difficult to estimate the odds of the company delivering earnings in such an environment. It is difficult for investors to expect the company's reports to be filed in February after management moved the dates twice. It's absolutely not difficult. BDO's already been working for over a month. They have more than 2 more months to work. So they have 3 months to sift through the issues and get these things done and dusted. Sort the issues that Ernst & Young had issues with, and management is probably going to have to bend, if not break. Management, like I said, is going to have to go the other way, be 100% transparent. Quite frankly, the Powerball lottery has better defined odds of investing. Other factors to consider. We'll wrap this up, guys. I know it's been a long video. As of this writing, 15% short, it's even higher than that. That'll increase volatility. It's possible that Supermicro's management files its reports February, which will improve sentiment again. And the elevated volatility might cause the stock to trade against my bearish thesis, saying this could go either way. It's a hot potato, basically. Saying a hot potato. Saying it's a hot potato. At the moment, there is no reason for me to remain optimistic about Supermicro Computer. I've waited patiently for the company to reveal. He's basically saying the fact that they haven't filed their financials, the fact the auditor quit, the fact that I can't trust it. It's too much uncertainty. Bing, bang, boom. I'm done. And I can't argue with anything the guy's saying. I mean, I like to gamble. You know, I'm not a talker. Anyway, guys, want to thank everybody for joining me. I want to thank the great Nautilurker, of course, also the great Alberto Berti Aviles. I want to thank Cutie for being here. Cutie, the great QT. The great Payush. Would like to thank the great Payush. Yeah, I think they built XAI. Elon had them front their gear. Yeah, I think Elon probably isn't going to pay him either. Can we shift the conversation? What's going on with SMCI? I love conspiracy theories. Mac 11 would be the reason MCI cooked their books. Because Mac, they just started growing like this. This is probably stuff when they were still a little bit insecure. They still thought they were, were going to be cash poor. They've been in trouble. This company was in trouble not that many years ago. What's going on, Katie Wentworth? Welcome and hello. Anybody else here? Should have bought some stocks today. Busy. Yeah, everybody's busy at work right now, Katie, trying to get out on vacation. But appreciate you guys watching. It's SMCI. Let's get a final check of the price and the short interest. Yeah, it's 32.04 after hours. So this is not what a sell-off looks like, guys. It's not what a stock crashing looks like. It's a fugazi. Their narrative is a fugazi. I don't buy it for a minute. If it was that bad, they wouldn't be grinding this thing out, buying a bunch of shares between 31 and 35. That's what market makers are doing. 100%, 100%. Fixing the bid in the ass, dropping the stock 25 cents, 20 cents over and over on one candle on moderate volume. That does not happen by accident. It's mathematically impossible. It's illegal bid rigging. It's just happened. You could analyze it. They could easily find out who that is. They don't care. They don't care, guys. There are no rules. There are no rules. It's margin call, Mike. Oh, Merry Christmas. Chang, you're still as a small company. Yeah, you're absolutely right, margin call, Mike. He runs this thing like a mom and pop sandwich shop. He's doling out money to his brother-in-law, his wife, all this. Everybody's here and there. It's a fiasco, man. They need clean house. They need, like I said, a CFO who's larger than life, makes more damn money than the CEO, and who runs the shop with an iron fist. That's what they need. Guys, it's un poco mas. We try to give you just a little bit more. Don't infer anything from that. It's just a little bit more we try to give you. Thank you so much. Peace.